Choosing Life by ginnyrules27, Chapter 16. Lonnie grinned as she watched the game unfold on the field before her. It was the championship for the National Tawny League, and Jay was leading the charge for the Oradon Lions. Thankfully, Lonnie had helped her team win the Raw World Series the previous week, so she was able to come and cheer on Jay. Most of their friends were in the royal box with Ben and Mal, though Lonnie had to wonder how long Mal was going to fool anyone with the baggy clothes act. Mal, you've become one of my best friends, but sometimes you are really bad at hiding things, she thought. Then again, after the whole Natalie debacle, when we were in school, maybe we're just more attuned to noticing when things change with you. I know I didn't really say anything because I didn't feel it was my place, but I still noticed. Don't worry though, the kingdom's comprised of a majority of idiots, so they more than likely haven't noticed the baggy clothes.
So, how badly do you think Jay is going to tease Elle and Akira for sitting in the Arundel box?
Amir asked, bringing Lonnie out of her thoughts. If the Oradon Lions lose, I don't think there'll be much teasing, Emma said, rubbing her stomach. Or if there is, it'll be on Akio's end. Besides, don't think you wouldn't be sitting in the Agrabah box if the Agrabah Scorpions had made it to the championship.
Oh, you know I would have.
Amir nodded.
But that's just it. I know Jay would have teased me for sitting with the enemy. Therefore, I know Jay will tease Akio too.
How fitting, considering you two used to tease me about conspiring with the enemy before the games with the Imperial Academy, Lonnie snorted as she shook her head, before looking around. Where's Estelle? I thought he'd be here, snuffling up for crumbs. Jay asked if he could borrow him for the day. Something about guarding his bag, Mal said as Lonnie looked down at the field with her binoculars. There were screens, of course, but she preferred the closeness of binoculars. Plus, the camera didn't always stay on Jay. Call her selfish, but Lonnie wanted to watch her boyfriend in action. Sure enough, there on the sidelines was Estelle, resting his middle head right on Jay's bag. So the only way someone could get into the bag was if Estelle moved his head. And the only way that was happening was if Mal asked or if Jay asked Estelle.
And the clock is ticking down here, folks, as the Oradon Lions fight to take the championship from the Arundel Arctic Foxes, the reigning champs.
The announcer's voice came through the speakers, pulling everyone's attention to what was happening on the field.
With the score still tied 3-3, it is truly anyone's game. I'll say, with how Arundel's Reapers have been picking up off our guys, it'll be a miracle if we win.
Amir sighed.
Hey, we were tied in our championship as well, and we came out on top, Ben told him. Sometimes it takes a little faith and trust in your team. For a moment there, I thought you were gonna finish that with mentioning pixie dust.
Harry thought with a small chuckle as Uma shook her head in amusement. Normally, she would have been on a trading run, but Duma had informed Ben about her pregnancy, and he'd been amazing at rerouting the ships that managed to trade so that Uma's ship could stay docked for longer periods of time.
Pixie dust is illegal in Tawny, Ben said. Why am I not surprised you know that?
Harry shook his head. Lonnie chuckled. Because Ben was the captain of our school's Tawny team. Led them to the championship, after all. Of course he knows what's legal and illegal in the sport.
And it looks as though the Oradon Lions are about to perform the Shield of Virtue as one of their final plays of the game,
the announcer said, pulling everyone's attention away from the conversation and back on the field.
Pretty risky with a mere 3 minutes left on the clock, but if anyone can pull it off, it's this team.
What's the Shield of Virtue? Haddy asked from a spot in between Evan and Neil. Both of the boys taking a break from being around their girlfriends, with Hermes spending time with Evan's sisters, and Grace Hatter having a family event in Wonderland. Oddly enough, Grace's twin sister Paige had elected to bring her boyfriend, one of the male cheerleaders on the Oradon Prep cheer squad, and the son of Princess Alonwe and Prince Taran, to the event. By the way, Black Cauldron reference, I approve! Haddy would have been with Alexandria, but the last thing he needed was his friends teasing him about his dad walking in on them when she was there. He was just lucky Mal hadn't done that. Yet.
Shield of Virtue is a defensive play,
Amir explained, looking over at Hadi.
The team basically forms a solid, impenetrable wall out of their bodies.
Normally, at the school level, the players sing their school song, Ben added.
I wish I could still remember our fight song. It used to play in my head non-stop after a game whenever we made that play.
So, what are they singing now? Hadi asked.
I am going to kill Jay. It just got bumped from the #1 watched video on OraTube.
Ben groaned as some very familiar lyrics could be heard through the speakers.
Wait, this is what you sang to Val?
Hadi asked and burst out laughing.
Mom told us, and by us I mean me and Dad, for this after it happened, but she never found out the actual lyrics. Apparently the crowd drowned you out in the version Mum found.
And Ben, it's back on the top, Carlos said, looking up from his phone as he had pulled out OraTube to check, and chuckled as Ben shook his head. There will be no escaping that. I mean, I like it, Mal said, shrugging slightly. It was the song that got us together.
After Amir and Akio told me to make with the dramatic already,
Ben said, chuckling at the look on Amir's face before wrapping his arm around Mal. Of course, that changed as everyone moved to the edge of their seats, as Jay lunged forward and swiped the ball from the opposing player.
That guy looks stunned,
Amir said. I'd be stunned too if the opposing team started singing so close to the end of the game. Evan spoke up. The man speaks facts. Neil nodded. Lonnie chuckled before turning her attention back to the game, just as Jay passed the ball to one of his teammates, only for that teammate to get blocked by an Arctic fox.
Say what you want about those guys, they play good defense,
Amir sighed. And Jay's too loyal right now. Harry shook his head as he looked at the screen.
I can appreciate loyalty, but even I know this wee boys game that you don't waste time on stuff like this, especially when the ball's loose.
We know you prefer Raw to Tawny, Lonnie said with a grin.
Raw has swords, of course I'd prefer it. Harry told her. Tawny has cannons,
Amir exclaimed. Harry shook his head.
Swords beats cannons, Amir. Now hush, Jay has the ball. You could cut the tension with a sword as the clock ticks down,
the announcer said, his voice the only thing preventing the royal booth from being in total silence as they all watched in anticipation.
With only 10 seconds left on the clock, it makes one wonder why the Oradon Lions wasted so much time on the Shield of Virtue. Because it's a good play and a lot can happen in 10 seconds,
Ben said softly, his lips barely moving as his eyes never left the screen. Everyone watched with bated breath as Jay raced towards the goalie.
He shoots! He scores! The Oradon Lions win the championship! 4-3!
The announcer exclaimed, but no one heard him over the cheers that were coming from everyone in the room.
We should go down and congratulate Jay,
Ma said as she stood up.
That's usually not allowed right after a game,
Neil said. Everyone paused and gave him a look, as if reminding him that A, most of the people in the room didn't normally care about what was and what wasn't allowed, and B, 2 of the people there were the High King and Queen of Oradon. Even if Mal and Ben never used their titles for their own benefits, they still received preferential treatment as a result of the crowns they wore. Though at an event like this, the crowns stayed in the castle. Oh, right, Neil said with a sheepish chuckle as everyone made their way out of the booth to rush down to the field. Unfortunately, that meant they missed the trophy being handed by the coach to Jay. They also missed Jay rushing over to his bag and asking Estelle for another favour. However, no one missed Estelle racing over to them, 3 big doggy grins on his face. Hello, boy, Mal said with a small smile. Did you have a fun time watching the game from the sidelines? Estelle yipped softly and wagged his tail. However, He was also beginning to gently tug on Lonnie's sleeve, as if wanting her to follow him. "I think I'm being kidnapped by your dog, Mal," Lonnie said with a small chuckle. "You better go with him and see what he wants for you." Mal told her, "I don't think he's giving me much of a choice otherwise," Lonnie said, shaking her head as she began to follow Estelle to the field, where Jay was waiting. "Jay, what is all this about?" Lonnie asked. "Shouldn't you be celebrating with your team?"
"You'll see,"
Jay said as he led Lonnie up to the stage, where the rest of the team was celebrating with the trophy.
"If my team could forgive me for taking a bit of the attention for the moment." "Hey, Jay, you scored the winning shot. I think you can take all the time you want."
Lonnie heard the coach call, and she let out a small chuckle, though she had to wonder what was going on. She'd never known Jay to be this serious, though she wouldn't lie. She liked the feeling of his hand in hers.
"Lonnie,"
Jay started to say, but then paused, as if he was trying to make sure he had his words in order.
"Normally, I know exactly what I want to say to a girl, but right now, with you, I have no idea if I'm going to make this right. So, I'm just going to speak from my heart."
What in the world is going on? Lonnie thought. Sure, Jay had no issue with speaking from the heart, but normally he wasn't a big fan of doing so in public. Since they were both big-time sports stars in their respective fields, their privacy was next to non-existent. Neither of them wanted to see the words they had whispered lovingly in each other's ear plastered among tabloids or on fan websites the following day.
"You are the most amazing woman I've ever met,"
Jay continued, pulling Lonnie out of her thoughts.
"I never know what I'm going to get with you. You always find a way to keep me on my toes, and aren't afraid to give me a punch on the shoulder if I need it. You've been so supportive with my tourney career, even though the separation hasn't been easy on either of us. And most of the time our calls have been you helping me with my coursework for my degree."
"And I've been more than happy to do that," Lonnie said, "mainly because I love any time we get to spend together, and you always try to make up during the bye week that they match up." Jay gave her a small smile and took a breath.
"Well, even though I know the saying is, absence makes the heart grow fonder, I hope your heart as fond as me, as I am of you, and that you'll give me the answer I'm hoping you'll say."
"Jay, what are you—" Lonnie asked, her words trailing off as Jay knelt down on one knee and stunned the entire stadium. Many of the fans had remained when they saw her being escorted onto the field by the High Queen Cerberus. Lonnie stared in shock as Jay pulled out the ring box that had apparently been in his pocket. He opened it up to show Lonnie the most beautiful ring she ever could have imagined. The band was gold, with a single diamond in the middle, the design looking almost like the flower on her mother's hair comb. "Jay, I hope you've at least let my parents know what you're planning," she thought. She didn't need permission, and her parents knew that. However, with her brother not being the most forthcoming with his love life, the last thing Lonnie wanted to do was shock her mother and father with her love life.
"Lonnie, will you make me the happiest man alive?" Jay asked. "Will you marry me?"
"Yes!" Lonnie exclaimed without a single thought. She grinned as she saw the smile begin to grow on Jay's face, on her fiancé's face. Okay, now I see why Ben's always grinning like crazy whenever he referred to Mal as his fiancé. It feels so good to even think of Jay with that title. Lonnie thought.
"Yes?"
Jay asked. "Do I need to say it in another language?" Lonnie asked, a small chuckle escaping her lips as she leaned down to kiss Jay amidst the cheers from the fans and Jay's teammates. "Yes, I'll marry you!" Jay's grin never diminished, but then neither did Lonnie's, as she felt the ring slip onto her finger, and Jay enveloped her into his arms. Sure, he was incredibly filthy from the game, but Lonnie didn't care. Showers existed after all. The two of them made their way down to the field where the rest of their friends were milling about, though Lonnie kept an ear out for all the reporters just in case someone asked for an interview. Years of being friends with Emma White had trained her to handle the press, after all. "Wait, what's Johnny?" Lonnie asked, having heard the word come out of one of the reporters' mouths. "Don't tell me you're confused about your own couple name," Emma said with a small chuckle as the group joined them. "Seriously?" Lonnie asked. Amir nodded.
"Most of them are harmless. Like Ben and Mel's Bal. Though I honestly prefer the lone Dragon King I saw try to circulate the interwebs, the couple name." "Ben, was that you?" Jay asked.
"I can neither confirm nor deny that fact," Ben said.
"But Amir's right. They were almost all harmless. Some are a little too cute for words, like Emir and Emma's."
"Wait, we have one?" Emma thought. "If we just tried to do it one like yours, Ben, it would just turn out to be one of our names." Mal chuckled. "Yours, apparently, is Snow Thief. And it's not the reporters who came up with it, but the citizens, according to Chip."
"Please tell me there are others,"
Amir said. "There are. There's Golden Circus, Ice Siren, Wonder Apple."
"Wait, who's the last one?"
Hattie asked. Mal smirked slightly and glanced over at Neil before looking at her brother. "Well, Hats, one half of that pairing is here right now."
"Wait, that's me and Grace?" Neil asked, his eyes widening.
"Yep," Mal nodded.
"Huh. Surprisingly, I don't hate it," Neil said. "Wonder Apple. Sounds like a really delicious apple."
Ben snorted. Chip had a similar reaction when he found out his couple name was Lucas, his old Oregon prep boyfriend, whom he had had an on-again, off-again relationship. The older man had found the couple name of Painted Teacup to be particularly amusing, especially considering the fact that Lucas was a freelance artist. Ben was just happy that his brother was happy. The last time Ben had heard the name Lucas was during the food delivery barge drama, back before Leah had been sent to the Isle. To no one's surprise, however, Chip had gotten married to Lucas maybe a year after Ben and Mal had married, though it was a small affair by choice. The only reason anyone had found out about Chip and Lucas was, well, Chip got publicity being the surrogate older brother of the High King, though 9 times out of 10 he wouldn't get reported on since he was a freelance videographer. He drank from the same pool as the reporters and photographers that longed for a photo op or an interview with Ben and Mal, so no one was going to risk annoying Chip. Except for the one entity that apparently had expanded its reach past the halls of Oregon Prep. Yeah, Ben had issued a civil case against the Gazelle when it was revealed they had reported on Chip and Lucas, even going as far as to get them temporarily shut down. He would have done the same back during his school days when he issued his proclamation that speculation on Mal's parentage was no longer tolerated, but surprisingly, the Gazelle towed the line there.
"Well, anyway,"
Ben said, cutting himself out of his thoughts and back to the conversation at hand.
"Like we said, most of them are harmless. Chad and Ginny's is Chinny. No, Amir, Akio, you can't make fun of him for the fact it sounds like something the Three Little Pigs would say."
"Who said we would?" Akio asked as he and Elle made their way over to him. "Also, what are we talking about?"
"Couple names," Amir said. "One of the reporters revealed Lonnie, hers and Jay's couple name."
"All I'm saying is, why couldn't it be Lay?" Lonnie asked. Carlos chuckled. "You can't fight the internet, Lonnie. I offered to start a campaign when Jane told me we had a couple name floating around on there." "What's yours?" "Jarlos. I offered to find a way to change it to Kane, but Jane said it was fine." Jane chuckled. "Because it is. Besides, you already made me a necklace with our couple name on it. I'm not going to have that hard work go for nothing." "Well, I'm just going to say this," Mal said. "It took you long enough, Jay."
"Hey, I had to have the perfect moment,"
Jay told her as he brought Lonnie into a hug, kissing her on the lips. It truly was a perfect moment. There was nothing Jay could think of that would make this moment better. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. Oh, I love that one, I really do. Finally, another Lonnie and Jay chapter. I know that they're one of your favourite background couples, Ginny, so I approve of what you did here. Though, again, much like with the Did I Mention scene, I find public displays of affection rather awkward because I see it as a trap for the person who's receiving them. But that's just my personal opinion. Like, the way you did it like this, because they're such public figures, it makes sense. I just wouldn't want anyone to do that to me. But anyway, I think it's really funny. Couple names always make me smile. They're admittedly Hickstrid, Persebeth, Bal, Jarlos. You know, I like a lot of couples, so anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.